of the most complex objects created by nature. And at the same time, it's one of the most understudied human organs. And the emergence of intelligence is almost the most important mystery after the emergence of the universe. But what if your brain is the universe? Believe it or not, there's an amazingly complex object in your head that is many times more powerful than any supercomputer. At the same time, it has rather a small size and consumes about 20 to 30 watts of energy, which is roughly comparable to the power of a light bulb. You might object. After all, the universe is much larger. How can they be similar given the crazy difference in scale? Yes, indeed. The scale differs by about 27 orders of magnitude. But just look how visually similar the networks of neurons in the brain are to the web of galaxies in the cosmos. How did such different scales, such different forces and processes give rise to such similar systems? Despite the huge differences in size, two Italian experts in completely different fields of science conducted an amazing study. Astrophysicist Franco Vazza from the University of Bologna and the neuroscientist Alberto Folletti from the University of Verona blew up the internet and the media with their research. They decided to compare the networks of the brain and the universe quantitatively. Studying these systems from different angles, it turned out that the structure, morphology, memory size, and other properties are very similar. That suggests that completely different physical processes can lead to very similar, complex, and organized structures. Your brain contains 69 billion neurons, cells that process information from your senses and send signals to your body through your nervous system. Neurons are networked by connections called axons and dendrites. That is, 100 trillion connections between neurons form a neural network. Thanks to this, we have the opportunity to think, feel, and generally be who we are. The universe at first glance looks like sections separated by space, but this is not entirely true. The universe that we see is called the observable universe, and this space is about 90 billion light years in diameter. And according to estimates, the observable universe includes about 100 billion galaxies. These galaxies, like our Milky Way, include billions of stars. The Milky Way, in turn, is part of a cluster of galaxies called the Local Group, which, in addition to the Milky Way, include about 100 other galaxies. But these clusters of galaxies are also grouped into the local supercluster of galaxies, or as it's also called, the Virgo supercluster. And yes, it's very similar to networks of neurons. But what about the spaces in between? Is there just a void? Here scientists make a very interesting comparison. About 77% of the brain consists of fluid, and about 70% of the universe is filled with dark energy. That is, the space between groups and clusters isn't empty, but contains compounds of passive materials. Dark energy in the universe, or fluid in the brain, they fulfill their indirect role in their respective structures, and the remaining 30% of the mass of each system is made up of galaxies or neurons. By analyzing and comparing the density of these systems, scientists found a remarkable similarity between the fluctuating density of matter in the brain and the cosmic web. Consequently, the universe can be thought of as a giant network of galaxies connected like neural networks in the brain. Vazza and Folletti also found that these networks are more similar to each other than other physical or biological structures, such as tree branches, water turbulence, or the dynamics of cloud formation. All of these systems have a fractal organization. Fractal patterns have a property of self-similarity. For example, they repeat themselves completely or partially irrespective of scale. On the contrary, the universe looks very different on a smaller scale than on a larger one. Galaxies don't look at all like the cosmic web they create, so the brain ceases to look like a neural network when observed at different scales. Based on these results, researchers conclude that similar network configurations can arise from the interaction of completely different physical processes, resulting in the same levels of complexity and self-organization, despite significant differences in scale. In other words, Networks such as the human brain and the universe may have a similar structure, but be completely different in size and formed by different processes. Nevertheless, something may have caused them to develop and grow in the same way. However, despite the similarities, the universe and the brain also have differences. For the study, samples were taken from the brain, or rather, the cerebral cortex. But the brain itself is heterogeneous, and its different parts have a certain structure which perform their function and are responsible for different tasks. At the same time, the universe is homogeneous, almost in all directions. In addition, connections between neurons serve to transfer information, while connections in the universe only transfer energy and matter. There have also been other amazing research studies where the authors suggest that the universe itself is a neural network, where the universe is constantly self-learning and learning itself. It's worth noting that the principle of the neural network and its structure are borrowed from neurobiology. It consists of a sequence of neurons connected by synapses. Each of these neurons receives data, processes them, and then transmits them to another neuron. Actually, the very idea of a neural network is to imitate human brain activity using a mathematical model. A new approach to cosmology, or just another pseudoscience? Let's look into it further. Scientists claim that the laws of the universe evolve similar to the processes that occur in machine learning systems. However, the authors don't say that the universe is a neural network. Rather, they suggest that the properties of our universe are the result of learning, like neural networks. That is, we can never fully understand all the principles of the world and their laws. Because of constant self-learning and evolution, the universe simply will not allow us to fully understand its structure and control its laws. But the authors suggest that their theory would help unify general relativity and quantum theory. In addition, their models could be used in building entirely new architectures. For example, for quantum machine learning systems, perhaps we could simulate at the quantum level the early stages of the universe, or on the contrary, look millions of years into the future. Amazing, isn't it? Yes, and Vazza and Folletti hope that their research will inspire the development of more powerful algorithms to discover even more similarities between the brain and the universe.